Did you watch the 6-man tag, which was
The main event?
the main event, blah blah blah, that was supposed to be Owens and Ciampa and same face against the Bloodline?
I did. That was one of the things about earlier that they kind of established that maybe not want to see this match too much was Gargano and Ciampa being involved.
Well,
Again.
they weren't there long.
No.
Because you see Owens's entrance, and then on the screen, the Bloodline in the back have beat up Ciampa and Gargano, and somebody's got a muffler sticking out of his ass or whatever. And then they come out and they start beating up Kevin Owens, and then the Street Profits hit and fight the Bloodline, and we go to the break. And then when we come back, we have a bell for a 6-man tag team match anyway. So somebody ought to do a tabulation on 1 week of just both big companies' television shows. How many fights in the back are there? And involving how many people? Because it's just, why not just have done this to begin with these guys instead of do that angle? Or do you think, did somebody get fired in between Seg 2 and Seg 7?
I don't know if it was that. I don't think it was that.
Well, you never know what people might hear on hidden microphones anymore. Anyway, is a 6-man tag. Ford is a great leaper. You can tell KO is getting lazy at the small stuff. I don't think his heart's in it. Tonga Loa stands around on the floor a lot. I mentioned again, Jacob Fatu needs to, in my notes here is where I mentioned to myself, less on the headbutts. He did like 5 of them in a row at one point. And I don't care if you're Samoan or not, if you're really hitting somebody that hard, you got to register your own. But, they went through a big, back and forth finish, and the people were liking it. And everybody, hit all their shit and did dives and things. And then the referee rang the bell for the double disqualification. But Fatu, again, which is basically what I watched for and then kind of looked down when anybody else was in, continues to look incredible with that minor headbutt criticism I made. And they're using him right. And then finally, Cody comes out with a chair when Jacob's beating up everybody. And he nails the Tongas and does a cutter on Fatu. And then as Cody pops up, Orton picks up the chair and is behind Cody. But Cody turns and offers his hand out, and Owens drops the chair and shakes his hand. But the tease is always there. Why I oughta. Should I? But I don't think he will. I think that way, when Orton does, they'll have lulled us into a false sense of security. I could be wrong, but I never have been.
It's probably one of those Ricochet things where Ricochet got laid out by Braun Breaker and it was like left open. Like, you can return from the ambulance taking you away if you're re-signed. Otherwise, they'll never see you again. And with Owens, it's, yeah, you can get something big like that. Otherwise, we're just going to keep teasing it. And then, Orton or someone will squash him before he leaves.
But you know what you just mentioned? Well, you can return from the ambulance that carried you out. But in this case, the way Tony Khan did it, he switched places. You can return from sending our top guy out in a fucking ambulance.
Well, that was Smackdown.